to Wales. Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Foderingham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Doffin, he can hit them, and he does. Doffin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast, and finally, after 4 weeks, it's over. We have a manager. Well, no, we have a head coach. Leam Richardson is aboard Rotherham United, and we will. It's just nice to know, to be honest with you. So we'll talk about Leam Richardson. We'll talk about the appointment and what it could mean for tomorrow, because we haven't got games so quickly after an appointment. Maybe not ideal, but that's where we are. And yeah, thank you for being with us. Mick's with us. How are you doing, Mick?
I'm all right, mate. Bit of a rush, but I made it. Just
2 in 2 days, keeping us busy, aren't we?
Yeah. I'm just prepping divorce papers for a match tomorrow. Another podcast on Thursday. Divorce lawyers hours on Friday.
Very good. Tom, back with us. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, good. Thank Christ it's finally happened.
Oh, I know. Hey, Danny's back with us. How you doing, Danny?
I'm doing very good, thank you.
Wonderful stuff. So the appointment's happened. Basically 2.5 year contract. Liam Richardson has signed. We talked yesterday, mate. I'll start with you, mate, because you talked yesterday that when the appointment finally happens, we will just sort of be more relief than excited. Or well, that's what we said yesterday. You still have the same feeling, just happy it's done, or where are you?
Yeah, I'm very happy it's done. Really, really happy it's done. I think it was a name that was on the list right from the very beginning, and I think when we started this this run that we've just had prior to I'm a Celebrity even starting, I think Sam, what's his second question he asked when he came out of the jungle is who's new Rotherham manager, and they said Liam. Leam Richardson was one of the names on the list, and he was up there. I think in the podcast that we did when we first learned of Matt Taylor's sacking, that he was a name that we were all quite positive about. Obviously, there's been a lot of water passed under the bridge between then and him now being appointed. So I think it's a really good appointment. I'm very, very happy with it. Very happy with it. And yeah, I am relieved. I'm relieved to see what I said I was waiting for, was to see him holding that scarf rather than anyone else. So yeah, that's where the relief comes from my point of view. But in terms of how satisfied I am with the appointment, it's right up there. I'm pleased with that. Yeah. Did I say anything at all? Did I just waffle for 5 minutes?
That's no different from normal, is it? To be fair.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
So, Andy P, we've gone through the comments. Andy P says, "Have we got a new day one? Looking forward to this cast. Hope everybody as well." YouTube says, "Good evening, one and all. It's about time." Martin Holland says, "Good evening, everybody. The only way is up." Well, it's true. Jason Wick says, "Evening, everybody. Very optimistic." Scott Grundy says, "Evening all at chuffing last. I'm happy with this appointment. Needs our support and patience up the Millers." Dave Lawton says, "Evening all, happy with the appointment. Would have been 4 weeks ago."
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and that's look, Tom. It's frustrating that it's taken 4 weeks, but I agree. I am with that. But if it turns out to be the right appointment, it's turned out to be the right appointment. If that sort of makes sense, I don't know. Where are you in terms of the whole situation with the culmination of Mr. Richardson coming in?
I think 4 weeks ago, if you would have said it was Richardson, then you would have been happy-ish. And then I think after a couple weeks, when nothing's really happened and the international break is still happening, and Nathan Jones's name gets thrown in the mix, and you think, okay, you probably stray away from Richardson. And then you think about the others that we put. I mean, Eustace ruled us out pretty straight away. So I mean, he was one that was pretty much out of the running immediately. And then you only really left with Rowett and Richardson and Wilder at that point as well. So out of them three, he is a good appointment. He fits the style. He fits the kind of ambitious approach. I don't know. I think you can be very optimistic about it, but also you can be a bit pessimistic about it. I think looking at the names that we have been linked with, and then having it being 4 weeks is obviously, 4 weeks ago we would have had so much more time to and potentially even change the way the last couple of results have gone. But again, you can't really look at it like that now. It's been and gone. We've got him now. We've just got to back him until the end of the season. And if he's still with us next season, wherever we may be.
Yeah, absolutely. Danny, just some of your thoughts and feelings, same as everybody else's, or thoughts?
I think if Richardson's name had been the one top of the pile 4 weeks ago, I don't think anyone would have said no. But I agree with Tom. It's the fact we've had these bigger names and they've turned us down, and then Richardson has effectively had the balls to take the job. For me, that is an even bigger call for us to back him as fans, because he's come in and just gone, yep, I'm not going to shy away from any challenge, which I know can be a little bit cliche with managers, but with Leam Richardson, he never shied away from the challenge at Wigan when they changed directors, went into administration, had the points deduction, barely scraped survival in League One, and then he won him the league. So that is case in point. He doesn't shy away from a challenge, and if we're his next challenge, I don't think he'll shy away from us either. I only just caught a little bit of his interview with Radio Sheffield before we came on here, and he said, however long the Rotherham tenure is, whether it's 2 days, 2 years, or 5 years, he's going to give it effectively belt and braces for everything, and get the best tune he can out of us, which I think is quite motivating as fans. Now we've had 4 weeks of nothing, and then suddenly he's here going, I'm the man for the job. And I've just done a bit of research on his tactics and tendencies for his time at Wigan as well, and it's quite good reading for us, I think, because he likes the high press, which is something we've been calling out for a lot longer than 4 weeks.
Yes, for a lot longer than 4 weeks. Yes, we have. Yes. There's quite a lot to cover from today. I don't know how long we're going to be on for tonight, to be honest with you. Half an hour, I don't know. We'll see where we get to. It's a emergency podcast, so the rules go out the window, don't they? From that one. But in terms of what to expect, Mick, we played his Wigan team quite a lot. At least 3 times we played his Wigan team. And as other teams that he's coached when he wasn't full-time manager. So I think we have a good idea. They were very, very similar to us. There's a reason that us and Wigan went up that season. Yeah, it's because we knew how to get the job done, and we got it over the line. They were marginally better than us, or by a point or two. But there was 2 similar teams. I always thought they were a bit better than us. I know only a couple points, but I always thought they had an edge over us, and maybe that came down to Leam Richardson in his management style. Because I don't know, I just felt they had a bit more than us that season. It played out in the title as well. Yeah,
you could argue that, and it seems to me that Paul Warne and Liam Richardson, like you've just pointed out there, play a very similar style. But Liam Richardson set out in life to be a coach. Paul Warne didn't. So at that point, Liam Richardson's further down his coaching career than Paul Warne was, more experienced and arguably better at it because of that. It's what we need. It's what we needed was a young, ambitious coach, and we've talked about the Wilders, the Jones, the Eustace, the Rowerts, and everybody else. I would take Nathan Jones in a heartbeat. However, as soon as a better job came along, he's already proved himself. He's got nothing to prove. He will go. Liam Richardson's got something to prove. He's a young coach and he wants to make a name for himself. And I feel, from what I've seen of the Wigan when he was managing there, they were exactly the type of team that I want to see from in red and white. The high press, as you said, horrible to play, very, very organised. Yeah. Just really, really difficult to break down. And I keep saying this, and I've said it all season, and I still stand by it. We've got the players to do that. We've got the players to perform at that level already. So it's going to take him a little bit of time to change things around, I suspect. But the way some of the players have played this season, it's almost as if they had the handbrake put on them by Matt Taylor because of the way he wanted to approach games. And when they took that handbrake off, it was high intensity, high press, and a good organisation. So the players are there, and that seems to me to be the way that Richardson's played previously. So I'm very, very happy with it. I don't think he's going to be the type of manager either, as I just said there, that's going to jump ship. You appoint Chris Wilder on day one, and Paul Heckingbottom gets sacked at the end of the international break. He's gone. He's done. So had that appointment been made, it'd already been out the door. I don't think we're going to see that from Liam Richardson. I think we're going to see a man who wants to take a challenge on us, has already been said, and we'll see it as a longer term project than if somebody else comes a calling. We'll see, won't we?
Yeah. He also seemed a very popular guy. I mean, if you listen to anything to do with Wigan, Tom, and anything to do with the journals or the players that have talked about in the past, he seems a popular guy. He seems a good guy. So it doesn't seem like the man management skills. We from the outside, we question Matt Taylor because of his post-match press conferences and post-match comments. There doesn't seem to be any of that from Liam Richardson. He just seems to be clever and intelligent from a football sense, but also it seems from a personal point of view. For Wigan, it played out on the pitch. And so hopefully we would hope that plays out on the pitch as well, because he's got to have his impact's got to be quick, hasn't it, really? Because we're desperate for points.
Yeah, and having said that, I don't think we judge him tomorrow. I think whatever performance happens tomorrow, it happens, and that's not on him, that's on Carlisle, which, having said that, isn't the worst thing in the world. I think he comes across really well in his interviews. I just watched his recent one with us, and he comes across really well. Sounds like a very well educated guy. Like you're saying, clever tactically. I mean, when that League One season with Wigan, with us, he was clearly the tactical head overworn that season, and you can kind of tell. He just comes across really well, but not just this happy, fun kind of guy. He comes across well, but also what's a good word to use here? Quite strict. I don't know. He seems to give across this aura of kind of nonsense. Yeah, kind of just. Yeah, I think he plays the politics quite well, so to say. I think he comes across really quite stern, but also friendly. I feel like he'll be a good man manager in that sense. He'll want his own way of play. I feel like he's a good happy medium between the last two management of Warne and Taylor. Comes as a good happy medium between them, which maybe is what we need. A guy who's got enough tactical nuance to get us results, but also a bit more steel and a bit more grit to him than some that we've had. I think he'll be a good addition. And again, I think a lot of people said it with Taylor last season when he joined, but I think whatever happens, I think we've got to give him a good chunk of time. I don't think this is a 6-month appointment and then see him gone. I think we've got to give him a good chunk of time, at least a year, 2 years, however long. He's got to be able to do what he wants within the club, as every manager should be allowed to do. But yeah, having said that, tomorrow night is not on him, I don't think.
No. Having said that, though, Danny, I listened to the interview we did with the club website, and one thing that struck me as a difference from Matt Taylor. Matt Taylor came in last year. He sort of said that he needed to learn the players, he needed to get to know the players, understand them, and it was going to take sort of time. Liam Richardson has said he's already watched us 2 or 3 times live this season. And since the sort of deal became closer, he's watched us, and he already knows the players. He came across that he already understood the players that he had, and obviously some of their strengths and weaknesses. So that is very different to what we heard last year from Matt Taylor. Matt Taylor was much more sort of coy about it. Richardson sort of, I understand what I've got. I understand the challenge. He essentially talks about hitting the ground running, which is quite a positive way to speak, I thought.
Yeah, the way he spoke is a man who's going to try and get the best tune out of what he's got at the minute. rather than effectively learning how to play to the players' strengths. He's already learned how he can use the players to his management strengths.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And like Tom says, we can't judge him on tomorrow because actually, as far as we're aware, he hasn't had a training session with the players yet. Because in an interview he states it were a bit chaotic going up there for a couple of hours. So I doubt he's already got a training session ready to go. He may have seen how Carlisle's conducted training and bounced ideas off each other. The good thing is we're keeping the current staff as it stands for the foreseeable future. So you've got just dropped my pen. Whoops. You've got the coaching staff who effectively have been with the players all season, and then the new guy coming in to oversee proceedings. And I think that's a good thing why he's the head coach and not the manager, because he's effectively the lead person at training now and the lead person in the dugout. Whether or not that means we're bringing in a director of football, I don't know. But normally, if you've got a head coach set up at a football club, you tend to have a director of football set up and that medium between the corporate side of it and the coaching side of it. But that's a conversation for another day because at the end of the day, we don't know what's happening.
We will come on to that in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. But the way Richardson spoke, like I say, it speaks of a man who wants the best out of what he's got at the minute. I think he might add in January to facilitate the way he wants to play his football. Which, from what Total Football Analytics tells me, he defends in a 5-3-2, but he likes to push his wing backs very, very high. So you might see centre backs getting a little bit isolated, but that might be something for Cam Humphreys or Akeem Adoffin to mitigate themselves if we were to play that. But the way he high presses his football is man to man, which perfectly suits our midfield because that way of playing is perfect for a three-man midfield. And if we've got Jamie Lindsay, Ollie Rathbone and Christ Highy in that midfield, good grief. Like three of our most nibbly players, shall we say. So the way he sort of plays his football suits our midfield. We'll have to see a little bit of a tweak up top because he likes to play two. So there'll be a little tweak up there. I can see Nombe and Kelly potentially as your front two because they're your more pressing midfielders. Jordan Hugill does it, but when he's told to, Nombe and Kelly sort of do it by instinct. So I'm quite excited to see what happens. He might get a tune out of Lembikisa as well because it was a right back when he was a footballer as well. So I'm quite excited to see what will happen, but I won't judge him by tomorrow. I'll judge him, say, Saturday or after the transfer window when he can really put his stamp on training and put it into games. I'm excited for this. I'm excited.
Danny's excited. That's something. That's good. Shell Stone says he doesn't know if he goes in the dressing room before the game. Scott Grundy says the unveiling was a bit rubbish from the club, especially when they say we're going to change the football setup. I'll come on to that in a minute. Phil says he might have been thinking he's been out of the game for over a year and nobody's come in for him. Maybe that's a bigger decision. He did say that he had opportunities to go back into the game over the last 13 months, but some personal life got in the way, essentially, is what he said.
I think he just said he wanted to effectively be a family man for a little bit and spend some time with his family before committing to football again, which, to be fair play to him.
Yeah. He is on Twitter, which is dangerous.
So
if you're watching this, Liam, follow us, subscribe. We won't be too mean if you do, we promise.
Yeah, both him and his missus, I think, are on Twitter. So be kind rather than fans if it goes badly. Reg says, I hope he interacts with the fans a bit more. I do think we'll see a bit more of that, possibly. I don't know. We'll see. Let's talk about there's a few bits to pick up, mate, which is semi important. There's the head coach thing, which is, for me, is important. We've never had a head coach before. It's never. No. John mentioned in the comments earlier, but sometimes clubs change their title for this, and more modern thinking football clubs, I think, do. But Rotherham United have never had a head coach where it's always been a manager. So that says to me that something maybe not a director of football, but maybe Rob Scott's role is increasing because Rob Scott was the guy at the press conference today, not Tony Stewart, as far as I could tell. Mm-hmm. So that, again, is a step away and a step forward to something that's a bit different to what we've done in the past. Or is it just a change in title, mate?
We've gone all la-di-da, haven't we?
Yeah.
That's us.
Look us.
La-di-da, all championship. I would hope, given what's happened and the lack of information circulating around the club and outside of the club over the past 4 weeks, I would hope that it signifies that either Rob Scott is going to get a promotion, or someone else is going to come in and form that little barrier between the footballing side of the club and the business side of the club, because the business side of the club has failed miserably over the last 4 weeks in terms of this process. They've kept Leam Richardson waiting for 4 weeks. They've told the fans nothing. They've told the staff nothing. The players nothing. So that I think that needs to change, and I suspect that is where this discussion of the restructure is come from, because there are some very, very good people within that football club, and who will be hurting, I'm sure, with the criticism that they've been given, that's been levelled at them. Some of it unjustified, dependent on who we're talking about. So I suspect that somebody at that level may well come in, whether it be Rob Scott getting a promotion, or a sideways move / promotion, because you would not want Rob Scott taking too far away from the recruitment process. But then I guess that's partially part of a director of football's responsibility. So, or like you said, as John said, it could just be a technical thing, given the fact that we've just sacked a manager, and now it could be some sort of I don't know, just a naming issue, but whatever. I mean, what we need from Leam Richardson is for him to come in, deal with the players, deal with the football, deal with the games, and have an input into the recruitment side of it. And then hopefully, if it is going to be Rob Scott, who seems to me to be an absolutely ideal person for that job, because he's certainly got the ear of Tony Stewart, it would appear, and certainly of the remainder of the board, because they trust him because of the his experience and the work that he's done. So that would seem to be an ideal fit for me, but we'll have to wait and see. But in my head, what it does is it allows the coach, the head coach, to concentrate on what his job is, which is essentially coaching a football team to win football games, in a nutshell. Yeah. So we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, we had a question about what a director of football does. So if you Google it, the director of football works close to the manager, but oversees everything else. Obviously, the medical, physiotherapy, the scouting network, transfer dealings, data analysis. They deal with everything else in football. So the idea is behind the director of football is that if a manager leaves, it's not a massive problem, because the guy sitting above has already got your philosophy in place. He's already got your transfer methods in place. We go for X type of player at X age and things such as that. So that's why people like the director of football. That's why it is a more modern way of doing things.
And it does sound like it perfectly fits what Rob Scott does, with a few extra bits tacked on with medical.
It does, yeah. And yeah, I don't know, Tom. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in the director of football role and things such as that. We'll probably need a bit of research that, which is not what we like to do.
I'll do it. No,
you'll do it. You want to be director of football, or you want to do
no, not interested, mate.
Okay.
I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, Howard Webb. Maybe refereeing decisions will finally start going our way.
I'm waiting for a call, mate. I'm waiting for a call from Howard. Not had it yet.
Thoughts on that. Do you think it means anything, Tom, the head coach thing, or is it just a bit of a red herring? Because they talked about the restructuring, didn't they? The restructuring was mentioned in the statement.
I just wouldn't look too deeply into it at the minute. I think we've got people. I mean, we've got a manager now. That's it. Everyone can relax a bit more now. Whatever happens in the next 3 weeks happens. I don't know. I think it's a good step though if we do go that way, because it makes sense. The club is. These past 4 weeks have shown the club is not well run. It isn't, and it's a fact. And if you get people in place who are going to start doing a proper job, and by proper job I mean a championship job where they haven't been drafted in for whatever reason, they've got experience at championship level. There's this whole look and demeanor of we don't want to be treated as we don't want to be treated as a League One club. We want to be treated as a bigger club than that. So we've got to start hiring people behind the scenes who know what that's like, rather than players themselves. I think the whole director of football is a good thing. Whether or not it happens, I don't know, but I think that the wording of the release of the manager is definitely, or head coach, has definitely got people thinking maybe we do need a head coach, which will then spur on the initiation of one. Whether or not we actually have a plan to bring one in, I think it will spur on the idea that we actually do need one. And notice how I don't say one. I think we do need one. I think it's gotten to that point where, unfortunately, Tony Stewart just can't run the club really anymore, and whether or not he stays might end up being irrelevant if he just hires someone to do his job for him. Who knows? We'll have to see what direction that takes. But yeah, I've never really understood it. I mean, if you ask me who any club's director of football is, I couldn't tell you. Which,
that's the point, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's kind
which
of the
might
point.
be a good thing, might be a bad thing.
Yeah.
We're yet to see. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're finally moving into a way of running the club as a business as well as a football club, which I think could be more beneficial. You know, staying in the Championship is great. You get a lot of money for it, but if you don't put that money wisely, it's not going to go anywhere. I think having people who are going to be able to take that money and do stuff with it, I just think that's the way that we need to start going. Definitely in regards to selling players in the past, we've been really careless with it. Sold players for a hell of a lot less than they're worth, and we're in a worse place for it. We lose good players for not the right money. Take 3 players that left last season as an example, and you go from there, and you just, you kind of think, as a director of football, going to help with that? Maybe not. May as well give it a shot.
Yeah. John says, director of football's old news, lads. It's the technical director's the new buzz role. We need a technical director, a sporting director, a director of football. Any other ones?
Bottle top director.
Yeah. We maybe need to speak to someone in football to explain exactly what a director of football is. People say, is it a modern fad, or all the successful clubs have a structure? It doesn't necessarily need to be football. It needs to be a structure in place that is understandable and relevant to what you're trying to do. And I don't think we have that at the minute. I think it's been Tony Stewart, and that's it. That's kind of it. And then Tony Stewart, and then a lot further down is Rob Scott. That's how it feels. We talk about lack of communication, Danny, that they've got a new manager, but even within the statement to announce the manager, there's even a lack of communication there in terms of restructuring. We're going to restructure it. We're not going to tell you, but we're going to restructure it at some point in the future. So even in the communication, there's miscommunication and not letting us know.
It's almost like check the fine print and there's a surprise, isn't there? Because it's like, oh, we've appointed Leam Richardson, fantastic. And then if you read the article, it comes with a restructure of how did they word it? Was it a restructure
operations or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. And it's like, wait, what? And I think that's sort of got the tinfoil hats out, because we've had little bits throughout the week. Like, someone asked Ronnie Moore on Twitter if he wanted to be the director of football, and he went, "Oh, I'd love to, but they might have someone else already in line for that." Now, a lot of people think, has he got manager and director of football mixed up? But I don't think he did. I think he looked at director of football and went, yeah, but they've probably got someone else. And I do think, because Liam's been appointed head coach, it's sort of eliminated the need of a first team coach, but he'll sort of have 2 assistant coaches at this point. That tends to be how a head coach operates. It's 2 assistants rather than manager, assistant manager, first team coach, which is what we had under Paul Warne and Matt Taylor as well. So it just seems to be like there's going to be another little cushion. So there's going to be like recruitment and medical on that side, and then the football side of it, director of football side, and then that takes it to board level effectively. So it's just someone to oversee the pitch side stuff, shall we say, before it goes to board level. Whereas before it was just they all sort of chatted together and then went to board level, rather having that mitigator, which I think is how a director of football works. Quote me if I'm wrong.
I think so.
But that's my understanding of it anyway. And Rob Scott seems to fit it. I think whether it's a bump up for Rob Scott and we bring in a new head of recruitment, we'll have to see. But I do think director of football, or technical director, as John puts it these days, because we like to keep up with trends, is the way forward for a successful football club. Because, where was the comment? It was from Kelly, I think. Where is it? They said the business side of the club is run really well. They've just forgotten about the football side of it. There we go. That's it. So this is like pulling the football side up now. And fingers crossed, it makes us an effective championship team now, because Rob Scott was right. We've been in the championship 7 of the last 10 seasons. All right, fair enough. We've had some absolute howlers in those championship seasons, but it does speak for itself. 7 of the last 10. It just needs a little bit of a pulling up somewhere, which is probably the playing side of things and the selling on of players and making money side of things, rather than the business side of the football club, which needs a little bit of help now. And I've gone off on a massive spiral just from there's a restructuring happening. But I still think it's a positive. There's a restructuring happening. All right, we don't know what, but it's still a positive, because the club has identified it and gone, yeah, we're going to change that.
Yeah. People mention people like Brecken and people like that. It doesn't really matter who does the job. It doesn't need to be somebody who knows the club. It just needs to be somebody. They often work better where they're a bit colder to the club. Not necessarily they don't like the club, but because they're a bit more detached from it. I think that tends to work better on that level. I think the manager's a bit different, personally. I don't know. We will see. There's no point talking. We've spent half this not talking about Liam Richardson, to be honest with you. I feel bad. Moving back onto him a bit, Mick. Liam, we've confirmed that Wayne Carlisle, Scott Brown, and Dan Green will be staying on for him. Thoughts?
Yeah, good. Some continuity for the players, and Wayne Carlisle's done a really, really good job under very, very difficult circumstances. They're clearly 3 of them very, very good coaches. There's no doubt about that. So, no, I have no issue with that. I'm really pleased, and hopefully they're able to stay on full time and they don't get poached back down to Bristol Rovers or whatever. Although, given Wayne Carlisle's where he lives, that might be something that happens in the future. But certainly in the short term, it's great that they're going to stay on, because we need that continuity with the players. And Leam Richardson needs to be able to have those shoulders to lean on, coming in cold as he is, straight into the middle of a really, really, or the busiest part of the season in terms of games. He's going to need some people there to give him a leg up and try and instill what he wants into this team. And I don't think, I think Wayne Carlisle and the rest of the lads are more than capable of doing that, more than capable. So I have no issue with it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree. Do you expect to see any instant changes, Dan? Tom, do you see? Obviously, we'll play West Brom tomorrow. He's probably not going to have a training session, because I'm pretty certain he hasn't had one today, and they won't train on the match day either, I don't think. But then I don't think he can do is the motivational side of things and geeing him up, or just getting them to maybe understand the situation a bit better and be a leader.
Yeah, I can just see him having a talk with him. Really, I can imagine, considering he's kept considering Carlisle's still there, I can just imagine him taking it as he usually would, maybe giving him a slight talking to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's much he can do really in such a short space of time. I don't think it's tough to say it now, being the 11th of December, but I don't know how big of a change we'll see until January, maybe just through, bringing in different players, getting players back from injury. I can see us, because we haven't, I might get abused for this. I don't think we've been god awful the last couple of games. We've not been there at all, but it's tough to say. I don't think we've been nearly as bad as some people want us to be. I don't know. It's tough to say, but I just think he'll come in and he'll just bring a bit of belief back to the players. I think they were stuck in such a cog turning of not going anywhere. We're not doing anything. We're just going down. This is it. And then to come into the club, I think he seems like the sort of person that will distill belief on them, that they actually are good enough. And I think sometimes that's all that players need, is just a little bit of belief in them. I think that's what Carlisle's tried to do, a different guy behind the team, but he's still part of the same. He's still cut from the same cloth as Taylor, so it's still not going to be as
He's
easy.
A coach, not a manager, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Richardson has had experiences of being a manager, and not just a manager, but a manager in these situations, being in a relegation fight. I know it was League One, and he got sacked when he was in the Championship dogfight, but he's still relegation doesn't change no matter what league you're in. You're still all in it together. You still got the belief of this, that, and the other. And yes, some fans have been complaining that we don't look together, and I disagree with that personally. I think the players are with each other. I just don't think that their confidence is there. I don't think that their belief that they can win a game is there. I think that their desire to play and to work hard is there. I just don't think there's any belief behind it, which hopefully someone new will bring in that belief and get them playing a way that they want to play. Because as soon as we've started playing a bit more of a higher press, a bit more of a direct sort of style of play, maybe not direct is the key word, but a style of play that Richardson does play, it might give them a bit more belief again. I don't know. I agree with Danny. I think it's been so long that I can't physically get excited about a new manager. Putting it in perspective, it'll be interesting definitely tomorrow night. But I think the key game is Saturday away at Plymouth. I think it's huge to say the least, and to get thrown into that for your first proper game, we'll say, because it'll be tough. 4 weeks ago, I would have felt confident about. Well, I don't know if confidence would have been the word, but I would have felt assured about what this result would have been on Saturday. Got no clue now. It could be anything. It could be anything from what we've been doing away recently to a completely changed team who are going to try and dominate as much as they can. But we'll see.
Who knows?
Who knows? But if we win 2-0 tomorrow night, then we're all buzzing, aren't we? Within 5 points. It's going to be.
So funny though, because if we win 2-3-0 tomorrow night, which touch wood, we will. You can't. How can you say, "Oh, Richardson's the man here"? You and you. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if we were to win tomorrow, the only thing we could say is it's new manager boost for the players. I think. The only, like we say with Plymouth, that's the only real way we can judge anything, because he's had a bit of training time with them. And that'll all be West Brom saying on Twitter as well. If we win, it'll just be, new manager bounce. They've got them.
John Hensby says if we win tomorrow, we should make Richardson director of football. I don't think John's a fan.
We'll just build him a statue out of straw. Not quite enough for stones.
He wins on Saturday at Plymouth. Give him anything he wants. Lifetime contract, an away win of Rotherham United. It'll be just
an important win as well. An important win.
Exactly. Yeah.
Has anybody seen the picture of him on Twitter with a dog collar on? So he looks like a vicar, Richardson.
No.
Yeah, I've just seen it on Twitter, and it's just like he's a miracle worker if we stay up, and it's him dressed as a vicar.
Fair enough. Anything else we need to cover from Mr. Richardson? Today's events? Anything?
I think we talked about. I think his style of football is interesting. It's a 4-2-3-1, which is what we've been playing, but it's a different approach. It's a high press, and he's actually come out and said he likes a high press, like man to man. Dominate the midfield, kind of get your front line pressing their back line, which can go one of two ways, as everyone knows, is that you can get played around and it looks embarrassing and this, that, and the other. But when done correctly, which I think we've got some of the players to do it correctly, and we have been dominated midfields at the start of the season, especially you look at the Leicester and the Norwich games, we've dominated midfields. I think if you can get the best out of this squad and the best out of the system that he'll play, which will be the system that we've been playing all season, which hasn't been bad when we've got the right players in there, hasn't been awful, and we get the press right, and we get the the fans behind him at a home game. One goal is all it actually takes. One lucky goal, one great finish. That's all it takes, and the whole stadium will be bouncing. And then you're looking at getting on top of them more, and you're pressing higher. And it's just, I've just seen John say that Rooney loves a high press. He doesn't. We all watched that Birmingham game.
You can't high press Rotherham United though. That's the thing. Yeah, can't press those.
It's true, but we all watched it. He doesn't.
Mic drop, Jesus.
yeah, I don't know. It's a yeah, we've just got to back his. It might not be a smooth process. It might not be I hope it is. It might not be a quick process. I hope it is, but it will be. It will be a style of football that I think we'd prefer, and I think that's all we can really ask for. Because Taylor did try and implement a style of football which nobody was against at the time, trying to keep more possession, not choose your times when to press. But we just didn't have the players for it, and now we still don't really. We have the players that can press high. You look at Nombe, Appiah, Rathbone, Lindsay. You look at how dominant that midfield can be off the ball. We've just got to go all out, really, and give a Rotherham United performance.
It's all like positive, isn't it? Make us better, and that's something that's what got Matt Taylor's people's earnings back. Really, it was the negativity, especially away from home, that people you can't live with that. Certainly for us, look at Swansea, for example, and this is not necessarily a dig at them, but their identity as they play football, they are patient. We would probably say if we did that, we'd say we would be negative, but that's what they do. For us as a football club, you've got to be on the front foot. I'm not saying let's put 10 up top and be gung ho about it, but you've got to have that positivity about your play, and that's what Leam Richardson did. It obviously took time, but that's what he did at Wigan, that positive style on the front foot kind of thing, and that's what we're begging for. That's all we're begging for. Just be a bit more positive, especially away from home.
Yeah, and also getting that ball into the box as well,
across the ball.
Yeah.
And that really, really did drop off under Matt Taylor. So, and he did mention that is another part of the way he likes to play. In his
box entries, did he say, or something like that?
Yeah, I can't remember, entries into the final third, weren't it, and things like that, which we've not been getting. We've just not been getting. So we know, we've seen it, and somebody mentioned it earlier on. 7 out of the last 10 years in this division, and teams for the whole of that time, teams have tried to play out from the back, and they continue to try playing out from the back. And I'm like a broken record, but it still remains the case to this day that in the main, the vast majority of them are not good enough to do it, and certainly not good enough to do it for 90 minutes. They may be successful 2 or 3 times a game in breaking down the press. So for me, it's the way forward, and it's the way I feel that Rotherham United play, and I think a lot of supporters feel it that way. So to hear him say that is great news, and we know it's not just trying to win the fans over, because we've seen his teams play, and we know that's what they do. And I'll stand on, and it's a hill I'm willing to die on. We've got the players to do it as well. So,
I think the only difference though is that when we used to do this high press and under Warren, it was more get the ball, this kind of get the ball in the box, cause issues, etc. But I think we've gone for a style under Taylor that means that when we're in possession, we're more careful with it. And although that didn't work in the long run, I think in that final third, if we're just a bit more careful with the ball, I think if those kind of qualities go across with Richardson, I think you're looking at a more solid attacking play. I know that everyone loves balls in the box, and that will work. It's just defined that it will work. No defender loves defending their own net. But in those moments where you need a little bit more quality, a little bit more care with the ball, I think we'll be able to find it. Or at least I hope we do anyway. I think it'll be a bit of a, hybrid kind of thing. It'll want to press high, but when we have the ball, not be daft with it.
Yeah. It's one of those times we're going to wrap it up, Danny, but if he can get the ball rolling, we're playing every few days between now and January the 6th or whatever, whenever FA Cup first FA Cup game is. So if Leam Richardson can get a win tomorrow, for example, and build a bit of positive, build a bit of momentum, this could be a really important time of the season to pick up some points and pick up a couple of wins here and there. And he's got to get that positivity as soon as possible because of how thick and fast the games come.
Yeah, definitely. Just before we talk about the games coming up, interesting that as soon as we got announced as the opponents for Fulham, they've won 2 games 5-0.
Yeah, that's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, that's very annoying. But just looking at the run-in that we've got between now and the new year, I mean, it doesn't make for the best reading, to be fair. Because we've got West Brom, Plymouth, Leicester, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, and then, of course, Blackburn on New Year's Day. You've got 3 teams there that are up in the top end of the table, 1 team who's top of the league. And then Plymouth and West Brom are, I believe they're both like safely mid-table.
West Brom playoff.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's another team in the top half of the table, makes it even worse. So it's a very tough run in for Richardson. However, it sort of seems to have come at the best time because we like to play well against teams that are a lot higher than us in the table. Yeah. So if we combine that with new manager bouncing him, putting his own spin on things and getting a tune out the players, it could prove a little bit fruitful for us, or it could be a complete disaster. But I've got quite a fair bit of confidence that, excluding tomorrow, because he's got no chance of putting his stamp on the team, as it would be pot luck if he gets his first win tomorrow with no training with the squad. Looking from Plymouth onwards, it could be opportunity for them to not really know what direction Richardson's going to take with it. And I think with 2-3 of those games being away, that's Richardson's chance to really attack the away form and get it turning round as well. Which would be nice, because the last time he was in this league, he won 3 away games in a row. Wouldn't that be something?
So imagine, Tom, have you heard that 3 games in a row? It might save you from this bet.
I know, I completely forgot about that until you just mentioned it. I'll say that now.
Yeah. Anything else?
I actually can't believe I made that bet.
I can't believe it either.
I've forgotten what the bet was. What was it again?
If we win 3 games on the bounce, then whoever I made the bet against, I can't remember now.
I'd Rashford not in comments today, but
yeah, plus £50 towards hospice. But if they don't, then I do.
So our next 3 games anyway: West Brom, Plymouth, and Leicester. 2 of which are away.
That's at least 2 wins in there, and then the third.
Yeah. Easy 3 at Leicester. Is that what we're saying?
Oh yeah. Away as well.
Easy.
We're getting ahead of ourselves now, lads. Let's come back down to earth a little bit.
What do you mean? I can see playoffs here, mate. Don't worry about that.
How many points are left to play for? Is it about like 70 odd left to play for?
Just under 30 games, isn't it? I think. Yeah. So a lot of points.
Yeah, a lot of points.
There is a lot of points. We're just got to turn up. I agree with Mick. We've got players to do it. They just need a manager to get out of them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Don't know. Anything else before we finish, boys? 47 minutes. We've got a good whack hotels.
I'm just, I'm liking Shelley's Mickey take out myself there, saying that Patrick Hugel should be playing up front for now. Mate, yeah, I'm with you. Private joke that would appear, unless you've been on the podcast.
Yeah, Phil says, do you think the backroom staff will reunite with Matt Taylor? I think at some point they probably will. Probably. Oh, certainly Wayne Carlisle. I'm not sure Green and Brown necessarily, but I'm sure Wayne Carlisle will at some point. There were rumours last week that Richard were bringing his own backroom staff. Obviously, that's not panned out yet.
The biggest surprise for me is that Wayne Carlisle stayed, I think, with his family being based down in Devon and his previous manager now being at Bristol. Bristol Rovers, sorry. That's very interesting that he stayed. Whether or not he wants to help Richardson out for the foreseeable future, give it till the end of the season or what.
He's technically in contract though, isn't
he? Yeah, that's true. And unless Bristol Rovers don't want to buy them offers, then they'll stay put, won't they? Because at the end of the day, we relieve Matt Taylor of his duties, but not the rest of his staff.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll have to wait and see with that one. If Richardson gels really well with Wayne Carlisle, then it's a match made in heaven. And he has said we've got some talented coaches here, which is very much a compliment to the setup that we've got as it stands. But we'll just have to wait and see with it.
Doing a quick search, his previous assistant manager was Rob Kelly, who is now assistant manager at Preston. So,
unlike Green.
Although Richardson has a history of detaching from the set ways, if you like. So he was Paul Cook's assistant and then didn't join him at Ipswich and then took Wigan on a very nice run indeed back to the Championship. And I'm still convinced Richardson would have done better if the board weren't such fools at Wigan.
Yeah, they're lucky they didn't run club into the ground. I know they almost virtually have, but they're lucky they didn't run into the ground further. Michael Miller says, sad that Richardson will likely meet with an empty red seats tomorrow. Probably, but it's only going to take a couple of positive results to get people back in. And that's Richardson's not an idiot. I think he will have understood the situation and probably understood the fans' frustration over the past month. Probably his frustration as well. To be interested in it 4 weeks ago, he'll have been sat around being frustrated as well, probably.
Yeah, more than likely.
So hopefully it's lit a fire under him. And like if we come out tomorrow firing and getting on West Brom straight away, the crowd will respond as we always do.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is Cohen Bramall after 3 minutes, big Brexit tackling to one at West Brom players, everyone's up on the feet.
As long as it's not a red card.
Oh yeah. As long as it's like within the parameters of the game, just take him out, but win the ball. You know.
Yeah. Finish on Shelley saying that Saturday was very, very quiet. Let's hope tomorrow we make it known that we welcome him here, give the lads some backing. They need us more now than ever if we're to survive. Yes, they do. Right. Wrap it up there, boys. Thank you for being with us for the Emergency podcast. Hopefully, we don't have another emergency podcast for quite some time. We never know.
We're not doing a Kenny Jacket again. 44 days time. Oh, there's another one.
Let's hope not.
Oh, God.
There's no scout report for West Brom. We haven't been able to organise one else there was, but there isn't going to be one. So sorry, but we tried. The instant reaction will be up very late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning. So keep an eye out for that, and then we'll be back to review in full the West Brom game and preview a massive game. Is Plymouth the South Coast?
Yes.
Yeah.
A trip from the South
Where
Coast.
else did you think it was?
I knew it was South. I didn't realise it was the South Coast. I didn't know if it was sort of the top bit of the sticky out bit.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know
What you mean? What you mean? The top, I mean where Bristol is?
Yeah, I don't really know where Plymouth is. I know I'm pretty good with geography in terms of other places. I'm not 100% sure where Plymouth is, though, to be honest with you. The South.
Matt, that sentence doesn't make sense. I'm pretty good with geography, but I don't know where Plymouth is.
The Southwest is a mystery to me. I'm not gonna lie. I don't go down there. I don't need to go down for the most part. I'm sure it's lovely down in the Southwest.
Yeah, the weather isn't, but it's all right.
I know it was coastal. I didn't know exactly which coast, but there we go. We now know.
That's a brilliant Navy base for a reason. Good grief, that's brilliant.
Please subscribe if you haven't done already, and we will be back very, very soon. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Tom. And thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
You're
welcome.
Up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
Slides into Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Rotherham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box, the Dauphin, he can hit them, and he does. The Dauphin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favor, drop me off in